We will now talk about digital health, artificial intelligence, and blockchain, concepts that we will learn more about with our guest in another discussion at the Portugal eHealth Summit, which you can follow, and you can learn more about the innovation in health and technology. In this panel, we have José Gomes, who is chairman of the Portuguese Business Intelligence Association, and Fred Antunes, the chair of the Portuguese Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Association. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being with us. José Gomes, I will begin with you. I would like to know about the importance of artificial intelligence and blockchain in transforming the healthcare procedures. Good afternoon, everybody. It is a pleasure for me to be here today. Your question is quite relevant, and what I can say is that the processes and procedures have become increasingly efficient if we have structure and data organized. We need to have all our procedures and processes in a way that simply transforms into something that someone who is lay and doesn't understand this, to make sure that it's obvious and that they understand what is of value to bring value to health and other areas. As such, technology, artificial intelligence, and blockchain, it acts directly and needs to be assimilated and needs to combine information like a filter. What do I mean? All the information that is uploaded in various systems and in various platforms has noise. A lot of data that aren't correct. The platforms nowadays try to balance this out, but many times there are problems associated. So what do we need to do? We need to free up and work on the concept of technological tools to implement and reorganize things so that all of these procedures will work in several structures. For example, prevention, when analyzing cancer, we have been taking on a relationship of experiences that with the technological evolution and the evolution of the organic structure and the relationship between the mechanical side, the robotic side, and the software structuring, we can quickly transform these data and get better data. And with this, we can predict a difference so that we can obtain specific data and, if possible, have relevance to go directly to the disease, directly to certain data that will make things easier and will become more organized for all the entities. Fred Antunes, the same question. Please go into more detail on what blockchain is and what the impact it can have in healthcare. First of all, thank you very much. I would like to thank you for the invitation. And in addition to presiding the Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Association, I also coordinate the digital assets and blockchain at Capgemini, Portugal. So within my daily work, health is one of the main areas, objectively, of implementing blockchain. Yet it is not a technology that within healthcare is as simple and objectively implemented as in other areas of society, namely intangible assets. I would say that from a practical point of view, what blockchain solves is two issues. One, privacy, data privacy. Two, the history of such data being immutable. There is no way that they can be altered or manipulated or controlled in any way. So in a world that is increasingly global, in a healthcare system that is increasingly divided in terms of supply, the ownership that each citizen has over their health history and the information concerning them means that each citizen via blockchain can control their data and give them, because of the GDPR, only give them to the institution or, as a last instance, to the healthcare professional they trust. And nowadays, the system doesn't allow this type of operation in terms of the interoperation between the public and the private healthcare system. It becomes a bit more complex when you have those two situations. It is more difficult to integrate. But when we are talking about the healthcare system from states in the euro area that are completely different, that integration is practically null. What blockchain allows is that each patient will have a series of attributes and a history that, regardless of their geographical location, can, in a very standard and simplified way, share them with any healthcare professional anywhere in the world, as long as it's integrated in the network. José Rui Gomes, Fred Antunes spoke about an issue that we've been discussing a lot here, which is data protection and the data that we need to share for technology to be used and be at our service, so to speak. What is your consideration on this issue, and how can we make sure people rest assured in terms of the information they share? As sharing information is always something that is very bureaucratic. It is not simple, and increasingly we have been working on this matter. The challenge that I refer is that in addition to chairing this Business Intelligence Association, I work at University. I'm a computer manager. I teach at the university, and I do research. And I've been tutoring projects nationally and internationally, as well as a company. I work with a company, and what I see is that companies oftentimes make things easier, and that leads to problems. I have 20 odd years of experience, and what I've always heard is, oh, this was never going to happen to me. This only happens to other people. And there's lack of people to protect their data within an entity. We need good professionals that will alert to the problem, and then the operational management of some entities or some companies that are more private, so to speak, but public also. Many times they don't know what to do, how they should act, and how they should bring value. What do I mean? I think that above all else, we need to look to the future in the relationship that we have, and we need to bring something that is important and that we should do in our home to ensure trust, leadership, and make sure that all of these data are meticulously interpreted, aligned, and protected. This doesn't mean that there can be a flaw, because nothing is infallible. There are always flaws. But we need to avoid this. We need to have a system that is very well connected, very operational. So the challenge that I set, and in everything I try to say, there is one thing that is said. When people steal, someone is always chasing what the thief is stealing, and we are chasing those who are trying to hack. We need to be able to connect the IT tool with this operationality and with data, see the best way and techniques to combine this information so that it is effectively secure, have data that can be shared without any problem, any issue, and have loyalty and regulation that is going in the right direction at the moment. The legislation was well drafted at European level, and with suitable tools, we can be effective, we can be efficient in all the procedures and processes, in being aligned, and without doubt having this alignment for the future, and above all, productivity. and having the market operating without these problems that a lot of people think may happen. But we need to do this securely. What I can tell you is in the last few weeks, there have been a lot of problems. A lot of servers have been targeted, and this can lead to problems that can be bureaucratic and can bring to the data that is stored can be withdrawn, can be mined and led elsewhere. Fred and Tunj, in this future alignment that José Rui Gomes is speaking about, naturally we need to talk about the projects in artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. Where are we now in terms of the development and implementation of these projects? Before replying to your question, let me just make a brief remark on what the colleagues said just now. And I'm going to be ironic about this, but Portugal, effectively, from a statistical perspective, is the country that best complied with the GDPR, because it is the only Euro area country where the National Protection Data Authority did not deliver any fines or breaches in all the computer processes in our country. So this means that from a practical perspective, something isn't going well. Something isn't working out as it should. As for your question, I am going to bring it in line with this comment. We still have a long road ahead. We have a long road ahead in two essential areas. The first, the decision makers and people with greater responsibility need to practically and objectively obtain better knowledge of the digital world. That is the first major challenge we have for us to be able to use disruptive technology or have technological innovation. Because from a university perspective, there is a lot of juice that we can collect. There's a lot of product being made, a lot of concept to be proven. But then we always find it very difficult to do something a bit greater than just proof of concept, because we lack political support by decision makers to be able to take this further. So from a current perspective, I'd say that what is lacking is willingness in our decisions. I'm not talking about university level. Our universities are exemplary. And I'd say that that is one of the reasons why we have brain drain in Portugal. Why? Because academically, they are able to have solid proof of concept. They are used in their master's or PhD theses. Then these theses are not used, and these students will naturally go elsewhere. They will emigrate. And Germany, United States, Poland, Norway, some Asian countries, Australia, they are Portuguese people with renown. So these conferences also serve for us to draw attention that decisions cannot be just proof of concept and, quote, pretend that we want to be innovative. We need to stop just looking like we are innovative, but we need to be innovative and have technological innovation. José Rui Gomes, in this concept that Fred Antunes has left of digital knowledge, luckily knowledge that exists in Portugal, and we have a lot of researchers, a lot of work that has been done in this field in our country. How can digital knowledge in this year, how has it been at the service of healthcare? And if you want to give us a few examples, please do. I think that there have been many excellent examples. I can tell you that as an association, we had a major event, a conference on the 5th and 6th of this month. We had São João Hospital, another hospital, several entities that shared great value and brought great value to technology. I can give you the example of the structuring their emergency care, structuring their hospital beds, reorganizing beds for intensive care, figure out their vulnerabilities and their difficulties in terms of having the stock that they need in the hospital pharmacy. Those are subjects that have been implemented, planned, organized, and the tools that these bodies have is something that has been put into practice. And these are decision-making assets and software that have led to improvement in quality, more efficiency, and releasing beds for people who may need them more. And what does this mean? Well, the digital component of health is relevant. For instance, surgery. We have intelligence. We have biotech. We have advanced systems. We have robotic surgery, remote surgery happening. Just as we are now talking to you online, a lot of medical teams already do this. There are innovative systems in terms of healthcare units, hospital centers, where they can work together remotely. There is a lot to evolve. Yes, I'm not going to say any names, but I can say that we are working with something, with a specific body in Portugal. There are aspects that we see, there's a lot of difficulty, a lot of time is lost, for instance, in attributing medicine for the surgery rooms. And we are developing a tool with the support, as our colleague said, with the support of universities, where I am also included. We have people with technology that we innovate for the paramedic service, for instance, INEM. All of this is something that we will be working on because we have researchers who work well, who like to develop. We have a lot of creative people, but many times it's decision-making and policies, decisions made at an administrative level oppose the things that young people create. They don't want to go ahead with it. I don't understand. We have a lot of value. We have a lot of knowledge in Portugal. We have great students. And I can tell you the following. I believe in their motivation. I believe in the transformation of knowledge. I have been a mentor, I have been a teacher for many of them. A lot of them didn't want to work in this, well, now they work in companies and they managed to do so. They managed to work in companies because they believe you need work, you need value, and you need to work. We need to show people that they can improve also, and we need to be those who help. And I think that that is what we should focus on when it comes to health and digital. Anyone who has a good idea should bring them forward and not keep the ideas because they're scared of something, economic reasons, whatnot. Fred Antunes, has the pandemic heightened digital health in Portugal? What other experiences can you share with us, successful experiences in terms of digital healthcare? I'd say that although the pandemic was naturally a dramatic catastrophe, and I believe that we all agree on this, there are a few positives that we can take from this catastrophe. History has shown us this time and time again. I'd say that one of the main issues associated with the pandemic that drove this was the sensitivity to digital transformation and use technologies that existed before the pandemic. Some of them had been around for more than a decade, but weren't used every day. One is this one here today. In the past, it wouldn't make any sense to hold a conference with people online. They would have to be physically present. But today, this is part of our daily life. Our professional daily life has evolved in this way, and we are increasingly adapted to this reality. As for proof of concept, one of the challenges that I try to solve personally, and I try to keep in mind when we talk about technological innovation, is solving people's problems, not just from a practical perspective, but also in terms of experience, the trust in the healthcare system or any other system. Above all, when today we go to a public hospital, most of the time, the person that we most trust, the doctor or the nurse, they spend more time in front of the computer writing down information than being closer to us, talking to us. And in that sense, there are two projects that we have underway. The first is to completely digitize the vaccination booklet, because it seems that this is something that is almost overlooked in public health, and that now is very much present because of the COVID-19 vaccines, of course. And this is a booklet that is a paper format with a series of issues that haven't really evolved over time. And then we have this part of integrating the Internet of Things, IoT, as our colleague spoke about. But I will go further. More people now have smartwatches. And these smartwatches collect information on a daily basis. And then it is shared with centralized networks with a lot of brands. And a lot of people don't even care where those data are being sent. Now, if people use those data for that to be integrated with their own doctor, then a great part of our day-to-day is automatically reported. And if we can have a graphic dashboard, the doctor can have our health profile optimize at about 80%. So when we are talking about this type of technological innovation, we need to think about what people use in their daily life more and more. And smartwatch is a device that people use more and more. And if we take the benefit of what people already compile in terms of information, but then they only use it for their own personal ideas, say to go on a diet or to improve their muscle tonus or whatnot, we can give a new feature to something that people are using every single day. And the challenge when we work with disruptive technology is this: it is merge what people already have, simplifying and optimizing their way of life. Fred and Tunos, we are now concluding and wrapping up. So before passing the floor with José Rui Gomes, who will close this debate, what is a lesson that you can learn from this year of pandemic? What do we have for the future? I'd say that the greatest lesson is that there is no such thing as certainty. When we are comfortable with amazing economic growth, with political stability, geopolitical stability in the euro area, all of a sudden a pandemic can quickly change the way we live, force us to adapt professionally, force us to reinvent our own occupations, and even the way in which we live as a society, the way in which we communicate with others, was forced to change. And we needed to learn how to manage our emotions remotely, yet not overlooking our capacity of being humane. That is the greatest lesson we can draw from this pandemic. And I think that in the future, we will be better prepared for a catastrophe of this type. Thank you very much, Fred Antunes. José Rui Gomes, very briefly, what lesson do you draw from this pandemic and these challenges in the digital area? The only thing I can say and share at a more specific level is that this relationship we've had, and we as an association, just as our colleague said, and quite rightly so, is that increasingly companies and all our stakeholders need to adapt. We realize that we can very quickly and in little time obtain the synergies and lead to transformation. We had efficiency, so we need to look to bring what is important. Have something that will develop knowledge, that will become wisdom. It will be like what I'm showing here now, to have organized data that is then presented visually, have something that will then give us more for the economy, for health, for the creation of technological and digital innovation in a secure and ethical way, with knowledge to be able to transform and improve our economy at a global level in our country. Because as my colleague said, quite rightly so, we have an ethical regulation that didn't have an impact in terms of fines or breaches, but that we did have a few things that were perhaps left behind. But this opportunity to evolve with COVID led us to wake up, to see that there are new challenges and become alert to something that is impressive. The people that we should alert people to. We need to understand that we, with life and as this type of model, our inside can be more and more developed because remotely we can do anything. The country is not just the coastline. It is a whole economic concept that lives in all the little areas, all the inland areas. We have great companies inland and in the coastline, and we need to work together. Thank you very much. And I like being here, and I would like to thank you personally and on behalf of my Association of Business Intelligence for this opportunity to talk to you. Thank you very much, José Rui Gomes and Fred Antunes, for this diagnosis of digital healthcare in Portugal. We will follow your work, of course, and thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us.